Good morning, everybody. Today we're going to learn to subtract fractions with unlike denominators. Our first problem is Jack has a pixie stick that is 1.5 feet long. Yesterday he ate 3/4 of a foot. How much does he have left? To solve this problem, we're going to use a number line. First, we're going to find equivalent fractions for 1/2. What are some equivalent fractions for 1/2? 2/4 is one equivalent fraction for 1/2. What is another one? And 4/8 is another equivalent fraction.
I know that 3/4 equals 1/4 plus 2/4. Remember, when we add or subtract fractions, we do not add the numerators separately from the denominators. In other words, we do not add 1 plus 2 and then add 4 plus 4. A fraction is a single number. The numerator tells us how many of the unit fractions there are. So in 1/4 we have 1 unit fraction. In 2/4 we have 2 unit fractions. When we add 1/4 plus 2/4, we get 3/4.
And we've already determined that 2/4 is equivalent to 1/2. So that means that 3/4 is equal to 1/4 plus 1/2. We know that Jack's pixie stick is 1.5 feet long, so I've circled 1.5 feet on the number line, which is right here. And the problem tells us that yesterday he ate 3/4 of a foot. And since I know that 3/4 equals 1/4 plus 1/2, I'm going to move back 1/2 of a foot. And now I'm going to move back the remaining 1/4 of a foot. This 1/2 and 1/4 of a foot represents the 3/4 of a foot that Jack ate. This tells us that Jack has 3/4 of a foot left of his pixie stick. So I'm going to write Jack has 3/4 of his pixie stick left. We're going to solve the same problem again. This time we're going to use a bar model. We know that the pixie stick is 1.5 feet long, so that is going to go into this top box, which is the overall measurement of that pixie stick. We know that yesterday Jack ate 3/4 of a foot. That is going to go in this lower right-hand box, and right below that I have written how much Jack ate. That will help us keep track of those numbers. And what we need to solve yet is how much Jack has left of his pixie stick. That information will go in this box once we determine that. We know that the length of the pixie stick is 1.5 feet long, so I have that circled. And I also know that 1/2 plus 1/4 equals 3/4. So we are going to start at 1.5 feet to solve this problem. I'm going to move back from 1.5 feet, 1/2 foot to the 1 foot mark. Now I'm going to move back the remaining 1/4 of a foot. 1/2 and 1/4 of a foot is how much Jack has eaten. That is a total of 3/4 of a foot. We ended at 3/4 of a foot, so I have circled that. This is how much Jack has left of his pixie stick. So I have written 3/4 of a foot in this box for how much Jack has left. So I'm going to write our answer right here. It says Jack has 3/4 of his pixie stick left. Now we're going to fold some paper strips for equivalent fractions that you can use as quick references. For the first one, you're going to fold the right end to the left end, just like the arrow shows. This is what your paper will look like. When you reopen it, you will see this crease in the center. Next, you'll write 1/2 on this side and 1/2 on this side. Those will be quick references for you. We're going to fold another strip. You'll fold it just like you did the other one. This time we're going to fold it one more time, just like the arrow shows. This is what your strip should look like when it's folded. Now we're going to reopen the strip and you will have 4 partitions. Each of those are 1/4. So we have 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, and 4/4, which make a whole. We are going to fold one more strip. You'll fold this one exactly like you did the other two. We're going to fold it again. And we're going to fold it one more time. This is what your folded strip should look like now. When you reopen it, you will see that you have 8 partitions. Each of those are 1/8. So this is 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, 4/8, 5/8, 6/8, 7/8, and 8/8. 8/8 make a whole. And here we have all of the folded paper strips, including one that was not folded. That is our whole. Now we're going to look for equivalent fractions for 1/2. Here we have 1/4, and now we have another 1/4. 2/4 is equivalent to 1/2. Now we're going to do the same thing with 8ths. Here we have 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, and 4/8. 4/8 is equivalent to 1/2. We're going to solve another problem. This one says Angela is running in the school's race that is 1 3/4 miles long. She has run 1/2 of a mile. How much further does she need to run to reach the finish line? We know that the race is 1 3/4 miles long. So we're going to put 1 3/4 miles in this box. And we're going to circle 1 3/4 miles right here. And we know that Angela has run 1/2 of a mile already. So we're going to write that information in this box. Now we're going to circle 1/2 of a mile. This is how far she has already run. Now we need to find out how far Angela has left to run. We know that she has already run 1/2 of a mile, and the race is 1 3/4 of a mile long. So this is the difference that we need to find. With this, since we know where we're starting and we know where we're ending, we can use think addition to solve this subtraction problem. We could jump from 1/2 to 1 since the difference is 1/2. And we could jump another half from 1 to 1 1/2. But let's look at equivalent fractions. So we have 1 here. Here we have 1/2. And here we have 2/2. 1/2, 2/2. 2/2 is equivalent to 1. Since 1 is equivalent to 2/2, and 1/2 plus 1/2 equals 2/2, also 1/2 plus 1/2 equals 1. And since we know that 1/2 plus 1/2 equals 1, we can replace the 2/2 with 1 and jump from 1/2 to 1 1/2. That leaves us with 1/4 to jump from 1 1/2 to 1 3/4. So Angela has 1 1/4 mile left to run. And we're going to put 1 1/4 miles in this box. And we're going to write Angela has 1 1/4 miles left to run. To practice some problems that involve subtracting fractions, you're going to play fraction bingo, and this is a sample game card. After you solve each problem, you'll look for an answer on the game card, and the first person with 5 in a row, can be diagonal, across, or down. That person is the winner. You can use number lines or bar models to help you. You can also use your folded paper strips to find equivalent fractions. These are sample bingo questions that students will answer while they play fraction bingo. One technology resource that you can use after the fraction bingo game is Subtract Fractions from SplashLearn.com. You'll click the Sign In button, then select Class, click Login here, enter your username, enter your password, select your name, find the assignment, and click Start. You'll use the fraction strips to help you solve the problem. You'll also estimate the difference using number lines. And sometimes you'll estimate the difference without a number line. Another technology resource is Fraction Game from the nctm.org website. Click Classroom Resources. Click Illuminations and More Online Resources. Select Illuminations. Type Fraction Game. Select grades 3 through 5. Click Search. Select Fraction Game. Click the card. Then move as many markers as you can that are equal to or less than the fraction listed on the card.